Hey, I wanted to walk through the difference between an AliExpress Klon Enclosure and a Ceriatone Centur Klon Enclosure. Both of them are very similar, and I'm going to do my best to show photos of a real Klon. But the biggest differences are, in my opinion, Nick from Ceriatone didn't intend this to be an exact copy of a Klon, so he did his own kind of thing, and most notably, a little bit rounder, a little bit softer around these parts on top. The edges kind of swoop down versus the AliExpress is very kind of flat in a way. That's pretty sharp of an angle. Overall, I think if I were to bet, the AliExpress is more of a mold from a real Klon, just judging from the pictures that I've seen, at least on the outside. Again, most notably, this feels a little bit tighter up here compared to the Ceriatone. You can see down here. And then over here, it's a little bit tighter. I don't know. That's the best way I can describe it. More square, if that makes sense. So I'll kind of show head on here. And then this is, again, Nick didn't want this to be 100% the same. And you might notice that this is a little shinier than the typical Centura. This is kind of the sheen that you would get. I put some Eagle 1 metal polish on this to kind of bring out some luster, and I'll do a video review of how to do the same sort of technique on this, because obviously the finish is pretty rough visually. It's pretty smooth to the touch. But another difference is the font is kind of a purplish, and whatever. So let's flip them over. And I think they are a lot different underneath. Most notably, the wall thickness here is a little bit thicker on the Centura than the Centaur AliExpress. And comparing against the pictures of a real Klon, I think the Centura is closer just from the thickness. They both feel pretty good, pretty stable, so that's not going to really affect anything. It's not like I'm going to rip this apart. One of the other big differences that I can tell between the Centura and the real Centaur, and even this AliExpress one, is where the LEDs go. This is a little bit thicker. Again, not that big of a deal. I think that, in my opinion, the Centura is a little closer to the real Klon just from how sharp these edges are. And I'm going to use the term sharp very loosely. It's not sharp at all. The AliExpress one is a little bit more smooth, maybe even rounded out. This is a little cleaner around here where the PCB holder is. This is, again, a little sharper, but they both do the job. I actually took my Ceriatone Centura kit, and I can easily place them between the two. LEDs line up perfectly, the knobs line up perfectly, and I even mounted this directly to the board, so there's very little room for error. And pretty much if you were to stack them, which I've done before the video, and it might be hard to show, but the holes line up pretty much dead even here, which is kind of cool. Now, another difference that I've detected, the AliExpress one is a little bit, I would say, closer to a real Klon with how thick these stoppers are. I don't really know what to call them, but kind of this recessed plate where the bottom plate sits on. The mold release, or what I think that these are mold release, they're both present on the Centura and the AliExpress Centaur Enclosure. The real one doesn't. I can't detect any of those at all. If you were to take a quick glance and see if yours is a fake or whatever, it looks like the easiest way to detect is this mold release here and this mold release over here. So if anyone's trying to kind of fool you, that would be the immediate place to look. Also down here and over here. Now, one other difference, it looks like, I don't know why, but I can venture to guess that this is a separate piece, but you can see it's a little bit rougher. It looks like there's some welding or something going on there. I'm not quite sure. And this is again the Ceriatone Centura. That's not present on this Klon, whatever you want to call it, from AliExpress and DHGate. Number 5 here, I don't know what that's about. I have not found any pictures of a real Centaur without the PCB, so it's just the enclosure, unfortunately. But if anyone knows of photos or has a real Centaur and would be willing to take it apart or send it to me, which would be awesome, and then I can do a video comparison, that would be really rad, but I don't know if that's present on the real one. And again, overall, I believe, I'm checking my notes. Oh, let's go through the fit and finish of the bottom plate. So they both have recessed kind of screw holes here. The screws are exactly the same between the Centura and the AliExpress enclosure. They both are very tight tolerance, you know, fit very nicely in the hole or the recessed area, and actually might even be better than the real Centaur. From pictures I've seen, there's a pretty big gap depending on which one over here in the bottom plate on the real Centaur. So actually both of these knockoffs do a pretty good job with the bottom plate. Other than that, I mean, it's really up to you to decide which one you like better. My personal opinion, I like to get as close as possible to the real deal, but the fit and the finish on the AliExpress needs to be addressed, that's for sure. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you'd like to see anything specific, oh, one more thing, height. So I have this little fake straight edge here. It looks like they're both very close. I mean, I wouldn't say that there's any difference between the two. Okay, any difference there is might be just minimal. Because again, I'm sure that Nick had some sort of mold, started with the original and then molded beyond that. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Thank you.